Members of the ANC's National Executive Committee are reportedly pushing for an early elective Congress as the deeply divided meeting of the NEC continues. A report by the Mail and Guardian says supporters of suspended Secretary-General Ace Magashule are pushing for that early conference. This is on the basis that the current NEC is deadlocked in implementing the contentious step-aside resolution that's led to Magashule's suspension and him being locked out of that virtual NEC meeting on Saturday. The paper says the group has also accused the current leadership of failing to lead. Let's get some perspective on this then with the independent political analyst, Professor Dinyiko Maluleka, who's joining us by phone tonight from Pretoria, the capital. Prof, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. So some in the ANC NEC are saying that the ANC is collapsing. Is it?
Well, the fact that a number of senior members of the ANC at the NEC have broached the subject of collapse, it means that we have to take it seriously. Perhaps collapse is not the word, but certainly divided, extremely divided is what we seem to be seeing from the ANC, and the ANC is unable, it seems to me, to navigate through the step-aside waters, because that is really the reason why there is talk of collapse at the moment.
There are those who say, and even in the ANC, if these weekend reports are to be believed, that what needs to happen now is that all hell has to break loose, if you could put it that way, at this meeting in order for the ANC to rebuild from the very bottom. Do you think that would be the best strategy?
We are already inside such a strategy as far as I am concerned. The question is whether these step-aside crises will be used to renew the ANC, or this step-aside crisis will become the beginning of the collapse that you and I were speaking about a moment ago. It is really up to the ANC whether it is able to manage this process in such a way that it becomes a moment of renewal rather than a moment of collapse.
Let me get your take then, Prof, on the calls we're reading in the Mail and Guardian by supporters of the suspended SG for an early elective Congress. They're saying that the current top leadership has in fact failed to lead precisely because they're so factionalized. Is that going to happen? What's the likelihood?
Well, I think it's one of the possibilities, an early conference and an MGC that has been moved forward. The problem is that both those calls for an early conference and for an early MGC are also factional calls in and of themselves. So you can't end factionalism by simply allowing one faction to push for an early conference successfully. So whether they have an early conference or not, it will not take away the problems that the ANC faces. And one faction may go to an early conference and win, and another may go to an early conference and lose. So the end result may not necessarily be what the ANC needs at the moment. What the ANC needs at the moment is to navigate the current crisis better than it has done so far. And maybe when they end, by the time they end this NEC, they'll have found a way, and they will make announcements that indicate that they are finding a better way of managing the current process.
And Ace Magashule, in an interview with a public broadcaster during the week, was saying that he concedes that at the moment in the NEC, supporters of President Cyril Ramaphosa currently have the balance. They are the ones with bigger numbers. And it makes you wonder if convening an emergency conference would produce, I beg your pardon, a different result.
It probably will not necessarily produce a different result. But that's part of the tragedy, Tembegile. The tragedy of it all is that even he is speaking in terms of Ace Magashule versus Ramaphosa. One hopes that the ANC is able to move beyond this beauty contest between personalities in the ANC and begin to talk about what it is that the ANC needs in order to renew itself. this party, which in the last election begged for forgiveness from the electorate, what is it doing to correct those things about which it was begging for forgiveness, beyond whether Ace has got more people than Cyril, and this kind of Zuma versus Cyril, RET forces versus Tumamina forces? Unless the ANC is able to move beyond this beauty contest and face the heart of the crisis that it is facing, and then be able to speak to the electorate differently and more convincingly, all these calls for early this and early that may not help once the election is here, because the electorate is the ultimate arbiter in this contest between factions inside the ANC.
Professor Dinyiko Maluleke, independent political analyst, always good to speak to you, sir. Thank you.